Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So in three, two, one. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us on the Married Men's Podcast. This is Nathaniel and Irvik, where we
Yes,
are bringing
yes.
to you how we develop behavioral outcomes based on conflicts that we deal with in marriage. All right, Irvik. So we're going to just start off tonight with a brief conversation, and we'll see where this conversation takes us.
Definitely, definitely, man. From the last episode we did, man, we was having several different topics, and we also want to thank our listeners and our viewers that were able to go to our channel and subscribe and also like. Please continue to do so as you hear different content that we will be providing through our conversation related to our truth and our experience. Um, and also continue to provide your feedback. We receive a lot of great feedback from several people, and also several have made suggestions on topics that they would like to hear us discuss. So definitely continue to do that, and we'll let the good Lord use us the best way He sees fit, as they say in the church. Hallelujah.
So as Irvik stated, please ensure that you subscribe. Subscription will allow us, hopefully, throughout our journey, that we're able to bring on various guests, perhaps household names, that can engage in conversations with us to add to the components of what we're speaking to. All
Correct,
right.
correct.
So let's dig in tonight. So, Irvik, we did receive a request from a listener regarding a relationship challenge.
Yeah.
And basically, the challenge was, should you continue to have a friend, whether male or female, while you're married?
Correct, correct.
So, more clearly, a female has a male friend or a male has a female friend during marriage. So, we're going to attempt to unpack how we approach that situation or have approached that situation, provide some anecdotals, and provide you with some behavioral outcomes in addition to ensuring that we can capture a growth scale. All
Correct.
right. So let's go ahead and start that off with you, Irvik.
Well, you know what, Nate? With that question itself, it's a very I'm not gonna say interesting question because a lot of people, well, I'm not even gonna say a lot of people, but the older population or those individuals that were raised by the older um, generations, they feel that a married man or a married woman cannot have friends from the opposite sex um, for various reasons. I mean, the majority of the reasons, of course, a lot of people always think about it's always related through sexual connotation, meaning that if you friend with the opposite sex, then there would be some type of sexual desire that would be placed. And honestly, Nate, I mean, the truth to the matter is, when it comes to being friends to the opposite sex, and if you are married, to me, I don't see nothing wrong with that. Because again, the basis of marriage is trust, and that trust that you have in your significant other um, should surpass any type of want from somebody else that is not your husband or your wife. And for me, furthermore, if we want to take it a step further, Nate, man, I mean, especially when it comes to the vow that I've done and the vow that others you have done as well. It's like the Bible even say that can no man separate what God has put together. So if we believe that to be true, so what does it matter if you have a male friend or a female friend? Because again, men cannot separate that, what God has put together. The only person that can separate that thing that God put together is you, the two individuals that are in covenant with each other. So with all that being said, man, I don't think there's nothing wrong with it, bro. I mean, my wife and I, she have male friends, I have female friends, and I believe that for us, we have open dialogues. Like we don't try to hide anything from each other. Um, with those individuals that are from the opposite sex, and we also understand the level of conversation that we will have with those individuals that will not create some type of temptation for either one of us. And I think when it comes to understanding each individual, like I know what I want, my wife know what she wants. So regardless of who come and try to talk to either one of us, if it's something that is pertaining to try to say, "Oh, come holler at me," yo, we cut that junk off from the beginning. Because again, I know what I have in my wife. Why would I want to go sacrifice that from somebody else that don't have what I'm looking for from my wife just for a few minutes of pleasure? To me, that's not a gamble I'm ready to take. And my wife, likewise, is not a gamble that she's willing to take. So for me, Nate, I don't think anything wrong with that, bro. But again, it go back to each individual. Um, um, uh, uh, um, I don't want to use the word temptation, but it go back to each individual, to each couple strength. I would say that to each couple strength.
All right. So just to cascade the conversation a bit, those points are some great points that you've made. And I would also agree with you, Irv. There should not be a challenge with having friends of the opposite sex. In contrast, we must be able to manage caution. So, for example, what I mean by that is if you've had some type of sexual escapade with this person that is your
Oh,
friend,
now you want to go deep into it, Nate.
you
Oh,
might want
okay,
to.
go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I'm cutting in tonight. I gotta cut in quick.
Cut in, brother. Go ahead.
If you've had sexual escapades with this person that is your friend, or yeah, this my brother, this my sister, this my girl, this my boy, you might want to go ahead and cut that off. And I'm suggesting to cut that off because there will come a point in this relationship that there will be conflict, and I'm not even going to say the enemy because this is consciousness. I'm referring to the right to choose moral versus what's amoral. If you're in a relationship, if you're married, in a relationship and you deal with conflict, that one time where you upset at your wife or upset at your husband, and you're like, okay, let me go ahead and go slide in my girl. Let me go over that person's house and we'll talk. You know what's gonna happen if you're looking for something. I'm not gonna say if you're strong or weak, but if you're looking for an opportunity, you're setting yourself up for failure. So we definitely must manage caution whenever we're dealing with relationships or friendships of the opposite sex. Again, there isn't any challenge and there aren't any scriptures. We're not a Christian based channel, but we do have Christian based principles. So, and Irvic mentioned earlier that those of the older generations, baby boomers, even them older, they had certain traditions and behavioral characteristics that they would manage to follow. For example, stay out of such and such face, or that's my wife, that's my husband. She don't need nobody else. And or the flip side, you have somebody who's been unfaithful, whether male or female, in a marriage, and that person is still willing to stay. So I just want to conclude with saying we must manage friendships with caution. Irv?
I definitely agree with what you said with the last statement. We must manage friendship with caution. And as we look at it from the behavioral outcome, how we could measure that, like you just said before, earlier, you made some great points, man. Statement as far as if you friend with someone that you have sexual interaction with, and now you married and you still want to call this person your friends, nah, that's not a person that you want to be friends with. Just for the respect of your significant other. So yeah, definitely. I mean, there's always the behavioral outcome. The way you measure that is like, okay, what is to gain from that?
Yeah,
Um,
that's good. Good.
what is to gain from that friendship? Because if there's nothing to gain from that friendship, then you need to reconsider, continue on. Because again, at the end of the day, it's you and your partner. It's nobody else. Those individuals that you have around you, um, if they're not bringing any type of beneficial strength, support, moral support, based on, again, going back to what is the gain from it, and you need to let that go.
Yeah, you
You
need to
know,
cut it.
yeah, you need to cut it big time, big time,
Yeah,
big
you
time.
you, you make um a very point of measure in regards to what benefit does this person add to the progress of the friendship. Again, there there isn't any issue with having a friendship. Again, we need to just manage with caution. Um, in regards to what Irvin was stating about, in regards to what Irvin was stating about caution and benefit, measure that. Some people might say, for example, "Oh, this person has been my friend since childhood. Oh, that's my girl, that's my boy. I ain't I ain't I ain't letting go of that person." Okay, well then what's more important? You being single or you engaging in a union with another person that you want to dedicate your life to? Just to segue the conversation, because I'm just triggered in regards to how do we um, make sure that we can change when we start a relationship. So, for example, somebody might say, "Well, I ain't changing. You knew who I was when you met me, so you get what you got, or you got what you get." What do you say about that, that
Man,
statement? You knew me when you knew who I was when you met me. So now you pretty much gotta eat what you got.
man, look at it this way. Whenever you start a job and they start you off from a particular salary at the beginning,
Ooh, I already know where
you
you're going.
know, so as you grow within that job, as you advance within that job, do you expect to stay at the same salary that you started off with, or will you be looking for a certain amount of increase because now you've gained a little bit more knowledge from what you started off with? before. And if they told you that, you know what, hey, you know what you were getting yourself into before you start here. So just because you've been here for 20 years and you've acquired all this stuff, hey, but you know what it was before. Why do we need to give you more money? Like if you look at it from that perspective, Nate, I don't see why you expect your spouse to be the same person they were when you first met. It makes no sense. Because again, the whole point of this life that we have is that as we pray to a Lord, we say, God told us that every day we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. The only thing we could do is live for today. And
Be anxious for
tomorrow,
nothing.
yeah, be anxious for nothing. Tomorrow is a different day. And however way you want to think about it, Nate, tomorrow will never be the same as today. Never. I don't care if you put your pants on every single day, but every single day, you do not put your pants on the same way. Your brain might think that you do, but if you really record yourself and have a camera set up there and see, day one, this is how I put my pants. Day two, this is how I put on my pants. Day three, and then go back and review the video. I guarantee you, Nate, you will see something different every single day on how you put on your pants. So if something like that very minute, bro, we should not be expect a spouse to be the same person that they were when we first met. Because they're gonna grow, they're gonna experience different things, they're gonna see different things, they're gonna learn different things. So therefore, you should be able to grow with them. As she grow, you grow. As he grow, you grow. So nah, bro. I mean, if you're in a relationship and your spouse is saying that, oh, I want you to be the same person you were before, then there is no growth in that relationship.
Or the person or either or would say, you know what? This I am who I am. This is my truth. I ain't changing for nobody. Like
Oh man.
you would have to be disingenuous and asinine to think, for example, okay, if you have a job, you expect things to happen on your job or change on your job. Like, great illustration, by the way. You expect promotion. However, in contrast, you won't change at home. Like, how does that even sound? This really disingenuous to expect for ex- external outcomes to change for the good. In contrast, you won't even change for the person that you said that you wanted to live your life with.
That you say you love, that you say that's who you want to be with. And Nate, if we even think about it, bro, it's like when we say we love someone, love is a choice. It's a choice that we made. Now, when we look at it from the standpoint of liking somebody, that's a feeling. It's
Right.
like, oh, I like you today. Nah, tomorrow I don't like you. But love is an unconditional thing that you say, you know what, no matter what's going on around me, I'm gonna love you.
Ooh, Irv, I gotta put
Go
this in.
ahead,
I
bro. Go
remember our
ahead. Go
last
ahead.
conversation
Go
that I
ahead.
wanted to remember because we're the statement of love triggered this thought. Um, you say, what was that? What we were talking about last time? We were talking about love, and then we were also talking about
Man,
we
we're
were
talking
talking
about
about
love.
change. I just slipped my mind that quick.
Well,
Go
pretty
ahead,
much
go
like I
ahead.
was
It'll come
saying
back.
that with love aspect of it, when you make the choice to love someone, you're supposed to accept that person, um, despite the differences of how they are. You're supposed to love them. Now, the part as far as you was making the statement before, when it comes to this is the way I am, I'm not gonna change and everything like that. Okay, cool. This is the way you are. You're right. But because of the love you have for that person, you will definitely make an adjustment.
That's what it is, Irv. We was talking about sacrifices.
Correct.
So the statement of what I hear most people say, oh, marriage is a sacrifice. Oh yeah, you got to sacrifice in the marriage. No, marriage isn't a sacrifice. Marriage is perfect. The individuals within the relationship are imperfect. So we
Ooh,
have to
Nate, did you just say marriage is perfect? Ooh. Oh, go ahead, brother.
marriage
Go ahead. Go
marriage
ahead.
is perfect. Marriage is like the likeness of salvation in Christ. Again, we're not a Christian based channel, but we have Christian based views. So, sacrifice is about self sacrifice, not, oh, I did this for you. You gonna do this, you gotta do this for me. No, the self sacrifice is dying to yourself, dying to your ways, whether your ways are whether your ways are cunning, quarrelsome, a lack of love. That's what submission is about. Submission isn't individualistic in regards to, oh, the woman needs to submit to the husband. No, scripture is very clear that man and wife submit to each other. And the clarity of what submission look like is avoid fighting, or avoid quarrelsome, avoid causing your children to rebel. Make sure that you love your wife. Make sure that you respect your wife. That's what submission looks like. Not, oh, honey, you cleaning dishes or you taking out the trash. That's not submission. Those are tasks. Those are just mere tasks.
But I like how you putting it all together, Nate. Continue, brother. Continue. Continue, brother.
So we 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 must make sure that we are self-diagnosing. And what I mean by that is looking, cross-examining our behaviors and ensuring that we can pinpoint behavioral outcomes that we desire, measurable, and that we have a growth scale that we can work towards.
But Nate, going back to the statement again, and by the way, everything you just mentioned, bro, they were on point, man, as far as understanding the sacrifice that we have to make, understanding the submission go both ways, not just the female. We also go with the men as well. As men, as we submit to God, I mean, hey, the next level of godliness that we have is a spouse. So definitely have to go that route. But going back to the statement that we was making before, man, you know how we do, man. We always like to go backward and put a little more into it. When the couples are together and then they started experiencing challenges within their relationship, and then they often go back to this line that's said that, well, you know how I was before you met me. So you know that's how I am. That's what I do. I ain't gonna change that for nobody. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I do, so you know that. And one thing I tell people, bro, when I hear those type of statements from them, man, about this is how I am, this is who I am, and I say, you know what? They lie because they really don't know who they are. They only know the stuff that others have shared with them. Because for you to say this is who I am in a relationship, then you really don't really know who you are. Because the way you define your identity within a relationship is based on the connection that you have within your partner. Now, yes, when two become when two get together, they become one, as we understand it from the biblical context. Hey, now I'm gonna need your help with that part, man, to make sure I stay on. I'm pretty much paraphrasing the
Right,
right
that's
verse.
correct.
Yeah, paraphrasing the right verse. But when it comes to individuals, and I think Nate and I we had a conversation about that before, is that you know I had to find myself before I could even be in a relationship with my wife. I had to know who I was beyond what society have poured into me, beyond what my parents have poured into me, beyond what friends have poured into me. I had to really get to know who Irvik is. And the way I had to do that, man, I had to really give out, well, give up a lot of my surrounding ways and put myself in a box and say, nah, Irving, this is not how you move, bro. You got to get to the to the base of your foundation to know, okay, why are you doing those things? Why are you feeling those feelings? What are the trigger points that causing you to react the way you do?
That's good, Irv.
And then if those trigger points, bro, doesn't provide the benefit on who God says I am, then they are not me. Because again, if we go back to the bigger standpoint, God said when God created us, it said He was good. Everything about us is good. There's nothing about us is bad. We became that way based on choices that we made. We became that way based on situation that happened. We became that way based on surrounding. But if you really go back to your true core of how God created you to be, you are great. So with all that being said, when you say I am who I am or I can't change, I can't that, uh, I don't believe that. Yes, you might have to go through some type of mental process where you really have to really um, purge yourself to really get back to your true purpose. But you are someone that is good. You are someone that meant to do good. You're not someone that meant to do bad. And when you wait your wife, when you wait your husband, it's supposed to be a union that create wealth, that create joy, that create understanding, that create purpose. So therefore, you guys be able to share the light to other people that say, look, hey, the only perfection person that we know is God. But as we grow to know each other, as we grow in each other, we'll be able to make certain choices that will make sure that we don't destroy each other. And I think that's
Right.
the problem, Nate, that we have, bro. Is like couples get together, they forgot that, hey, you no longer you. This is us. And the basis of us getting together because we say that love word. And part of the love word is sacrifice. And the reason we sacrifice is because of what? Because we love each other and we want to see the best out of each other. So you telling your spouse this is who you are, this is how I am, then you don't want the best for your spouse.
Irv, I also, just to add to that, and that could potentially be a type of insecurity. Because okay, if I start loving my wife like this way, then this is going to cause me to recall how I felt the last time I gave somebody my heart and my heart got broken. So I gotta,
That's good.
although I'm married, I gotta guard my heart. Like for what? For what? What comes, the scripture that comes to mind is take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Like, why would you marry somebody that that would that you would think is burdensome, or you would carry a type of burden? And as I stated earlier, marriage is in the likeness of Christ, perfection. So we must make sure that two imperfect people in perfection, we already know what to look towards. We don't want to create burdens. We don't want to create quarrels. You have to ensure that you are loving each other, and love is very well measurable. Whether you're hugging, I'm sorry, whether you're affectionate or there is an effect, how you respond, those are mere instances of love. So we must therefore, again, make sure that we are managing our behaviors. So, just to recap, the start of our conversation was regarding the opposite sex, having friends with the opposite sex, or even the same sex. We need to manage these relationships with caution. Furthermore, we moved into ensuring that we change our behaviors and not being stuck on, oh, this is me. You knew who I was before you met me. Like, why would you even go into a relationship with a burden anyway to make the matters much more complicated than what they have to be? And Irving mentioned about knowing who you are. And Irving, that was a topic that we touched on in our previous conversation where we was talking and we are saying that men don't know who they are. And we often hear this in the ether, oh, know who you are or know yourself. So the question is, what does that even look like? How do I find myself? By
True.
denying yourself.
True.
That's how you find yourself. You have to deny yourself. Deny yourself of your behaviors, your unhealthy behaviors, wanting to be controlling to your wife, a wife wanting to be controlling to your husband, wanting to be quarrelsome, create conflicts that don't exist, not being fair to your kids if you have kids, and or not loving yourself. And we often hear that term, oh, love yourself, love yourself. What does that even look like? You have to deny yourself of your negative behaviors. That's how you love yourself.
But Nate, but this is the other thing too, man, that we have to think about, bro. With everything you just said, when it comes to the relationship aspect of it, you know, marriage, as you said before, is something that is great. The thing that causes problem within a marriage is the people that get involved in the marriage because they don't know their most of the time they don't know the reason, the true reason to why they are together.
I
Go,
got,
go ahead, man. Jump in
dude,
there, man. Jump in there.
I'm
Jump in
sorry.
there. Jump
Dude,
in there. Go ahead.
I got a lot on my chest tonight.
Go ahead. Go ahead, man. Put it out there for me, bro. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just last time, the conversation we had was, what was that statement again? You said
Just then, as far as them getting together, but not really understanding the reason why they're together.
have conversations, people, before you get into relationships, long-term relationships. There are games that you can purchase that will cause you to learn about the people that you say that you're in love with. Ask those questions. What does the person's finance look like? What does the person's friends look like? How's the relationship with the mother, father, or siblings? These things are important because that will be a type and shadow of how behaviors will begin to modify and shape throughout the course of marriage.
So,
Some younger people are always saying that marriage is a sham. No, marriage isn't a sham, or or not, or they say unbeneficial to the man. No, you're becoming one. This isn't one-sided situation.
so Nate, what about the part when you hear people saying that, well, this is us. I'm not marrying they family. This is me and my significant other, significant other that I ain't married. I'm not married their family, so they don't have no say so in what I do. And and sometimes when they approach their initial base of their relationship upon, oh, forget everybody else, could that be a sign that something is wrong, or could that be a sign that the marriage or the relationship itself, at some point there will be some bigger issue going on when you try to tell either either individuals that, hey, let's just focus on us, don't focus on them. I'm doing this for you, so this is for us.
We must understand, if we don't tonight, we have to understand that throughout the course of our upbringing, we develop our personalities, and we get from a social perspective a type of, and I'm gonna use this word, artificial intelligence, not from a technological perspective, but from people projecting types of personalities onto you. So what will happen inevitably is you're going to pick up those personality traits, and you're going to use those traits throughout the course of growing. So yeah, you might say, I ain't married your family, I'm marrying you. In a way you are.
That is true. That is true. Because again, if you were to think about it, yes, if you want to put games, say, I'm not marrying your family, I'm marrying you. But again, before, like you said, the artificial intelligence that you gain are from those family. Now, this is the other thing a lot of couples don't think about, Nate, is that when a man and a female meet each other and they say, well, I was raised by someone that believed in me. I was raised by not my biological parents. Those are serious discussion that you need to really have. Now, the discussion will be in place to say, okay, you was not raised by biological parents, but you was raised by somebody else that sees something in you. How was those person? How was these people?
Right, especially if you were raised by your grandparents or grandmother or grandfather, because older people have traits that are traditional traits in regards to spending money, in regards to uh, relationships,
And
not
those
married.
older people too, man. I mean, those older men, by the way, those older generation men, they believe the woman place is in the house. The woman
And
place is to be underneath the man. You know
man,
what I'm
so
saying?
man, and that could potentially be a disaster happening, because now you're an adult, and now you're thinking, oh, my wife, oh, she need to be cooking and cleaning, because you got that perspective from your grandparents who were stuck in in the 20s. I'm exaggerating, but yeah.
So now let's even take it a step further, Nate. Even if they're not your grandparents, even though there was people that just took you in, but they were older people that took you in, and you don't know those people background, but for them, their benefit is that, you know what, let me do this for this person. That's where they get their joy. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And yes, they're doing a good deed, but the principle that they have for doing what they do will transfer down to you.
Yeah.
So whatever that energy is, whatever they thought process is on how they are managing life, either through say philanthropy work. Yes, you're giving stuff away to people that are in need, but what is your true intent? Is it to show that, oh, look at me, I'm the one that's doing it, and you want people to give you praise for that? Is that the type of upbringing that you were under, or is it the fact that your mother was not really someone that you typically have a conversation with because your mother was always doing other things? So from the female perspective, you just more so try to find a different outlet to uh, uh, um, to cope with.
Yeah.
Now that you meet somebody else, now that the couples meet, you say, I forget our families. We're gonna be different. We don't have to worry about them. You marrying me. And then year number 4 in the marriage, you start seeing things.
Yeah.
Like, oh shoot, where those come from? Because you guys did not have the right conversation. Just like
Right.
Nate and I were talking about, you gotta have those initial conversation. Yes, they gonna be very tedious. Yes, they're gonna be very unorthodox. Things that may seem to be uncomfortable. But think about it. If you could have those uncomfortable conversations now before you even say I do, yo, you're gonna have a wonderful marriage. Because
Right,
now there's nothing that you won't be able to talk about.
right. And at times, we'll stay in that same vein, Irv. And at times, what can come up in these times of conflict is, oh, I met you. How many who you slept with? I want to know who you slept with. How many people you slept with? Or or what were you doing before you got with me? Like, don't dwell on the things of the past. Um, they could again. What's the purpose? What's the benefit of you knowing that stuff? Now that you know how many partners your spouse have slept with, okay, what do you do with that information? Does that comfort you?
That's a good question. Hey, I never understood why dude even care about that particular situation because at the end of the day, that's their past.
Right,
I'm here. I'm in your life now. Hey, we all have a past. And the past that we experienced, again, like we said, you're not the same person. You have to change. Because of the change that they have, that's how you was able to see that person. If
right.
they did not change, you wouldn't be the person that's in their life right now. So with that being said, let the past be the past. A lot of time you just, I mean, honestly, for me, Nate, sometimes I really don't care. Because look, I'm the new king of the castle.
Yeah, and
I'm
that
gonna
can
set
bring.
my foundation.
And Irv, those conversations can bring up insecurities on either person's behalf. And I'm referring to insecurities, for example, let's say we're engaging in sex, and then the man might feel, oh man, I wonder if I'm smashing her better than her ex, or she might say, oh, I wonder if I'm doing it good, or laying it on him better than his ex. Like, now you're like comparing yourself to porn. Like, just enjoy each other, discover each other sexually, and then find out what pleases the other partner.
And that's it, bro. And that's go back again to really having the serious conversation, man. And that's the part that I think a lot of couples doesn't really, they find that to be taboo. You know what I'm saying? And that's why create a
Especially in
lot of
church.
yeah, especially the church folks. Yeah, for real. And that's why create a lot of the insecurity. Again, you are the person is with now. They're not with that person back then. They're with you. So whatever it is that you guys need to do to make you guys be satisfied, is even if it is from sexual aspect, talk to that person. Hey, how do you like this? Is this how you like that? Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and make it the way that you like it. And
Right,
if you
right.
mess up, fine. Figure it out another time.
Or
You know
yeah.
what
Oh,
I'm saying?
yeah. Like, oh, I like when you touch me this way, or
Oh,
I like when you say these things. Herb, that goes right back to your statement. Knowing where you are comfortable at and progressing, knowing yourself. Like, have those
exactly.
conversations. Know what emotionalism feels like. How your wife and or husband like to be
I like
touched.
that. I like that. Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes there can be some past conflicts that are unresolved. People say traumas. They're just unresolved conflicts that, if you are securing marriage, then there shouldn't be a challenge. And I'm just saying, this shouldn't be a challenge with your husband or your wife. Oh, I'm going back to that time that I was SA'd and sexually assaulted, and I can't get intimate with my husband, or I can't get intimate with my wife. Like, okay, now you got to go to counseling the second month of marriage because you don't want to smash. Which, there's nothing wrong with counseling, but again, if you're knowing you're getting in relation with somebody for the long haul, you have to have uncomfortable conversations.
I mean, with all those uncomfortable conversations, Nate, man, go back to it again, man, to both individual understanding their potential. Know what you can and cannot do. Don't try to be a superhero and you know that you can only be superhero in that particular area.
Right.
Whatever area you could be a superhero in, do it to your best of your ability. And make sure your spouse know, hey, that's me. You know what I'm saying? And then keep it
Right.
going. Because I think when you try to impress somebody, I mean, when it comes to marriage, man, this is something that I've learned, Nate. My wife tell me this all the time. She say, "Baby, I want you.
Yep.
You don't have to try to impress and show off for the, I already know what you could do. I already know what you have. I just want you. I just want you to love on me." And for me, Nate, it made me feel wonderful to understand that I could truly be me. I don't have to
Yeah.
pretend to be doing something to my wife that I think she might like. No, for me, it's more so, baby, tell me what you like, and I
Right.
make sure I do what you like. It's not about me. Because whenever you are satisfying your spouse, it's about what your spouse like. So
Yeah.
having those conversations, understanding what those things are, and also Nate mentioned earlier before, understanding the traumatized situation, which are more so issues, not really traumatized. Well, depending on who you're talking to, they could use traumatized aspect of it because that's how they are able to associate it with. But for me, I would like to say understand what those trigger
Yeah. There's trigger
trigger
points.
sexual points are. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So if you know that your spouse have a particular situation that occurred that caused them to go through a certain phase or to go through a certain, well, not even phase, to go through a certain state of mind while you guys are engaging or in sexual activities or while you guys are having conversation or while you guys are just cuddling, whatever the case may be. If you know that, then help your wife or help your husband through that process.
Yeah.
And it's okay not to go through that process because that process will create a negative energy for your spouse. And this is
Right.
where growth come in. This is where you gain. Like, what is the gain? The gain is it's not about, oh, I'm going to make her feel this way. I'm going to make him feel this way. No, the gain is to help each other grow.
Helpmates.
Helpmates. That's the gain. That's the measurable outcome to this process. Is to
Yeah.
understand that, okay, my baby's going through this process. You know what? Let me don't do this. Let me do it this way. Because at the end of the day, I want my baby to feel comfortable. If my baby does not feel comfortable, then therefore I need to find another alternative.
Right.
And
And
that's
go ahead.
no, no, no. Go ahead, Nate.
We're not talking about compromising because that compromising stuff is an illusion.
Yeah, it is
Again,
a
we're dying to self. Oh, I got to compromise this. I got to compromise that. No, engage in a clear conversation and identify the challenges that can be potential conflicts. It's simple. There's no compromising nothing. What are you compromising?
that is true. That is true. So you don't really have to compromise because compromise is not going to solve anything.
Mm-mm,
Because really,
no.
at the end of the day, it's what we need to do for the betterment of us.
Er,
And
comp-
I have. Go
and,
ahead, Nate.
comprom- and a compromise is going to make you feel another a type of way. Oh, I did this, so now she going to have to do this.
She gonna
Or
have to do this, yeah, or he gonna have to do this. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Nah, we can't be doing that. We can't be doing that. Remember, the measurable, the behavioral outcome is that, hey, what I do is because I do it because of the love that I have for you, not because I want you to do it back for me in return. If you never do this back to me, I'm okay with that because that's not the reason why I do it. It's for you, and likewise. So at the end of the day, Nate, um, when it comes to relationship and going back to the initial question that we started off with, I would say this: have the conversation, understand your spouse trigger points, understand what they feel comfortable with. And again, if your spouse say, you know what, I don't want you to have those type of friends, and you guys have a conversation about it and you guys understood the reason why that is, honor your wife, honor your husband with those.
Right.
Now, if it's a more so, if it's a conversation that lead to controlling, yo, hey, you better go see what that divorce paper said.
Yeah, yeah, and
I'm,
I can talk to that, because there
I'm
were
keeping it.
points
I'm keeping it
there were,
real, Nate.
there were points in my marriage where I was controlling. Oh no, nah, I don't like you. I don't like you looking this way. I don't like you dressing that way. Oh, that's your friend. Nah, you can't talk to him. But then again, I have female friends,
Yeah,
so yeah, definitely need to be fair in the situation. And again, manage with caution.
yeah. Manage your caution. I like that.
Yeah, man. So I want to pause to inform our listeners to please ensure that you subscribe to our channel, that you invite others that are in the type of content that we are engaging in. Send us an email, marriedmenspodcast@gmail.com. The Married Men's Podcast at gmail.com. And again, please do not forget to subscribe. So now what we want to do is go ahead and start concluding our conversation. Um, we've mentioned some behavioral outcomes and this growth scale tonight. What does that look like, Irv?
Well, tonight, growth scale is really be a better communicator, understanding your spouse, understand their desire to y'all what make the relationship work, and also understand the need for um, for better comprehension when it comes to making sure that both party know exactly what to expect from each other.
Yep.
Because I think with all those statement that we all said, the growth outcome to that is really more so if I know what to expect from you and you know what to expect from me, can nobody come in between us.
Holding each other accountable.
Correct. Holding each other accountable. So then what else you gotta add to the growth part, man, from your perspective?
So from my perspective, again, manage with caution. Ask questions. Part of progressive behavior is about questioning. Every co- every situation deserves an explanation. Why am I in this relationship with this person? Why is this person still my friend? Ask those measuring questions. What benefit do I get? What benefit does my husband get? What benefit does my wife get by this person being my friend? Versus saying, "Oh no, this my boy, this my girl, and I ain't changing for nobody." You have to die to yourself. Examine examine the, I don't want to use the word toxic, but you want to examine the undesirable behaviors that you engage in on a daily basis. Identify why you behave that way and how you intend to change. So, for example, if you're a person that wants to yell, or you start feeling manic, in a manic state, in aggressive state, why are you behaving that way? Where does that come from? Those questions must be answered earlier on before you even get into relationship, because if you don't, you're going to have conflict throughout the course of your marital relationship. So that's what I would add to the growth scale and behavioral outcomes.
Well, with that being said, Nate, I think we concluded another podcast, brother.
Yes, yes. So again, to our listeners, thank you for listening to our content. Again, please subscribe. And this is Irvik and Nathaniel with the Married Men's Podcast. Until next time, make sure that you are measuring your behavioral outcomes and
Yes.
adjusting your growth scale. We bid you a good night.
Peace.
Peace.